Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, May the 28th. It is hump day, a wet, rainy hump day here in the nation's capital. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI for short, because we obviously bring you way too much information. We are live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So please be sure to hit that like and the follow button, the subscribe button, wherever you're consuming this content. That will greatly help our little show continue to grow. And if you are in the position, if you're on Rumble, and we would advise you go over to Rumble actually, because we won't be censored there. Go over to Rumble, and if you're in that position, hit the red Rumble Premium subscription button where you can watch all of our premium content that we are now unfurling, and obviously the Rumble premium content from all the other Rumble official creators that you cannot see as a casual free viewer. But, still watch us for free too. And smash the like button. So the Ted Manila Information Show will start now. We have later in the show, we're going to bring in Dr. Reese Halter, who brought a disturbing story, Ted. I guess I find it kind of disturbing. A disturbing story out of Boston where climate activists were breaking no laws. They had official, permits and everything to hold a protest. And somehow, the FBI shows up at some of their houses and no arrests were made. But could this just be an intimidation tactic? I say yes.
Just saying hi, like being good neighbors.
Oh, I see. FBI field office in Boston. What's up? What's up, guys? Gals, they, thems. Sup. Obviously, I'm not too far from the headquarters, so what's up to you guys, too? But that's, that's kind of concerning, given that none of these people broke any laws. So we're going to talk to Dr. Reese about that, about the crackdown that seems to be looming against all kinds of activism, and especially given this kind of ugly history I think the FBI's had with folks like the Weather Underground and stuff like that, specifically left-leaning demonstration groups.
Well, go all the way back to the Palmer raids of the 1920s. But anyway, we'll talk about all that.
I don't even know that one. But of course, we'll also tell you a couple of other things of interest, like Trump is polling well. Like, go figure. We'll tell you all about that. We'll also tell you about how Trump is attacking more in Boston, Harvard, again, and what he's doing there now. And of course, we'll bring it back here to the nation's capital because a very, very, very wealthy Silicon Valley person purchased the third most expensive home ever sold in Washington, D.C., and the identity has finally been revealed. The sale was closed about a month ago, but apparently this person's been lurking around the district, Ted. So we'll reveal who this wealthy Silicon Valley person is in just a little bit. So with that, stay tuned. Let's hop to the news.
Okay, so a majority of voters say that America is headed in the right direction for the first time since Rasmussen polls started asking the question about 20 years ago. The latest poll, taken May 18th to the 22nd, released Sunday, says that 48% of Americans think the country is headed in the right direction. 47% say wrong. 5% say not sure. Rasmussen's Mark Mitchell puts the numbers into context. He says in 20 years, the percentage of people who say the U.S. is headed in the right direction has never been higher than today. They started asking this question, right track, wrong track, back in 2006. And for us political dorks, it's considered one of the bellwether questions in American politics. One of the reasons that the Biden people started to see that his campaign was really tanking was because the right track, wrong track numbers just were stubbornly low for him, leading up to his dropping out of the race. And of course, obviously, the Democrats never really recovered there. Anyway, 48%, of course, is not technically a majority. Obviously, 50% would be that. However, Rasmussen also posted a an update Tuesday morning of the rolling average for the previous night and prior 4 nights that actually did hit the previously uncharted territory of 50%. They called it uncharted territory. That is a misnomer, a misspeaking, but uncharted. 50% say America is headed in the right direction. 31% of Democrats say the same thing. So obviously most Democrats are not feeling the same way. Real Clear Politics, which conducts an average of polls, shows a huge swing toward optimism. A November 2024 survey showed that 63% of Americans at that time thought the country was on the wrong track. That would indicate certainly, why the election went the way it did, with only 26% saying that we were on the right track. That's 37 points underwater, as pollsters say. Now, 51% say America's on the wrong track. 44% say we're on the right track. Underwater by 7, still underwater, but a 30-point improvement. This blows my mind. Okay. I mean,
I'm shocked.
Seriously, everybody I know is basically suicidal, and they're looking to figure out, if they can figure out if they have like a great grandparent who has like Bulgarian citizenship, that they can somehow, allow them to leave the country. There's been reports that the UK and other foreign countries, Canada, France, and so on, have record number of passport applications from the United States. I can sort of vouch for that. The other day, I went in to renew my French passport here in New York at the consulate, and they told me it was gangbusters with people with new applications among Americans who are looking to move to France. Because they have a French relative or something, they're entitled to French citizenship. Other people are inquiring about getting work permits to move to France. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think this is definitely a tale of two Americas. Liberals and Democrats are completely despondent. Republicans apparently are pleased as pie. I mean, certainly they can't say that Trump's not doing anything, but a lot of Trump's actions, he hasn't really followed through on some of his promises. I mean, it's certainly not like the economy is getting better really in any appreciable way. It's not noticeably better, or in some ways it's worse than it was like in November. Inflation continues to rage. I don't know. I mean, I don't have TDS. I don't.
Right.
But this is just...
I don't either.
I think it's shocking because if I had to put I wouldn't have said that the pessimism was worse than it was last year. But I mean, I would have certainly not expected that so many Americans are feeling, they're like walking on sunshine and don't feel good. I mean, that's weird.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read the article this morning. I thought there would be a more disparate set of numbers. Mm-hmm. It seems like America is totally split here, which I really thought Donald Trump was going to be less popular than these polls show. And Rasmussen is not like some schmo no-name poll, right? Like they're a reputable company that does actual on the ground, on the phone research, and they do real polling. And I think those are numbers you can mostly rely on, unless you're talking about the 2016 election. Where everybody was off. But in this case, I can't get my mind around it, Ted. I'm really shocked. And I don't know if it's just the circles that I run in and the people that I know, that it just seemed unbelievable to me.
It just doesn't seem right. I mean, usually, I feel like I'm pretty good at having my finger on the pulse. I mean, back in 2016, I wasn't shocked by the Trump victory.
Oh, I predicted it.
And as did I. And,
I was on the ground on the campaign trail. I said these polls are flat out wrong. But granted, I'm not on the ground anywhere now, obviously traveling through the country anymore. I'm not that kind of reporter anymore, but I can't understand how the polls, I'd like to see how they got there.
I would normally question them and say, well, this poll must be mistaken. And it could be, obviously, but Rasmussen has a good record. They were one of the polls that successfully predicted 2016. So I don't think they're full of shit. I mean, there's no reason to think
I don't
that
either.
right now.
I have a good amount of faith and trust in them, in the way they conduct their polling. So I don't feel like they asked, 700 Republicans and 300 Democrats, right? Because they cite that over 30% of Democrats that they polled fell in the positive camp for Donald Trump.
Yep.
So that I wonder what those people who responded to the polls, I wonder what brought them to that conclusion.
That's what I would like to know for sure. I mean,
are you happy about?
Yeah,
I don't know.
What is it that you're liking?
Immigration?
Do you like the deportations? Do you
right?
I mean, it excites you to be sending people to gulags. I mean, you're getting horny thinking about that.
Do you like the assault on education? Do you
Oh, like it's exciting that Harvard might close down.
But you know what?
That's going to make America look awesome.
Ted, there is one thing that I think maybe Democrats have come to terms with, at least that 31% that fell into the yay Trump camp. One thing, Ted, remember how much Democrats don't like free speech.
Well, that's true. And there's also, I think look, the woke stuff really had gone too far in the eyes of most people. I mean, even I'm as lefty as they come. And the other day my agent calls and we had a project that we were working on where I would have been like basically the host of a sort of quasi reality show. And this was a few years ago. I can't give the details because it would blow the whole idea. But anyway, the point is, and at one point this was in peak Biden era. They said, well, would you mind if the host was actually black? And I'm like, well, as long as you're not asking me to become black, I don't care if the host is black. I mean, whatever. Let's just sell the property, and even though it's my idea, like it'll be created
the intellectual
by Ted Rall,
property.
But whatever. I don't. It'll be one less thing that I have to take care of, right? Anyway, the thing is, and they were like, well, even that's not enough because people will know an old white guy created it. So basically the whole project died and had gone pretty far by Hollywood standards. Anyway, agent calls me the other day and goes, we're back in business. It doesn't matter that you're an old white guy. You can be the host now. And
it's okay to be a white dude again. A cis white male.
And I guess in a country where most people are white, that if you make white people feel better, you're going to get better poll numbers.
Well, Ted, I will say this. I have seen a number of interviews on legacy media as well as random people voicing their opinions on social media of white people who identify and have traditionally identified as Democrats. And I think I've seen people out of California who obviously the whole state is in the tank for the blue party, but a lot of these opinions that I've heard, whether it's on news or social media, a lot of these cis white males actually pointed out that they were tired of the whole white guilt thing and that they voted Trump. And they're traditionally Democrats. So that I think there is something there to, even though you're kind of joking but kind of, it's kind of true.
I'm kind of not joking though.
There's something honestly, there though.
I think there's just like, I don't have to feel bad about, or
yes.
I don't really feel bad about being white. I can't help being white, but I mean, it's like, I have to admit, it's annoying to be told that you're a piece of shit because you're white.
Because you were born a certain way. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be browbeaten anymore for being born with the lady parts, which I call lady parts. I don't have to feel guilty about that anymore. I don't have to feel bad for saying I breastfed my son instead of chest feeding my son. I don't have to feel bad.
Did you feel bad ever? I don't think you felt bad.
I didn't feel bad. But no, I didn't feel bad. No. But I know people tried to make me feel bad for saying, "Oh, you said breastfeeding." Like, fuck off.
Did anyone ever come on? Did anyone ever call you out on that? Really?
There have been people on social media, yes, that have been like, "Oh, it's chest feeding, Manila. How colloquial of you." Like,
really? Is that actually true? Is that true?
Yes.
Because that's really
yes.
gay.
I've been called a TERF before. A trans exclusionary.
Right. God forbid.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. I forget what the whole thing.
Trans exclusionary radical feminist. Hilarious.
Yes.
You're not a radical
Yes.
feminist.
No.
You're a feminist for sure.
But yeah, but not. I don't hate anybody because they don't have a uterus or they don't have ovaries and they weren't born that way.
A deuterus.
Correct. But in that era, I mean, that's part of what made me hate the Democrat Party. So I think there are a lot of people that, you know, as it says right there, over 30% of registered Democrats that were polled by Rasmussen sided with Trump's doing good. I think it comes from those people who were sick of like all the, the Black Lives Matter stuff, the whole woke stuff, the whole, let's hate on cis white male stuff. I think they were over it, but their core values, I would say, still remain largely with what the Democratic Party, I don't know how, but they still identify the Democrats as the left, even though that's incorrect. But
no,
I think that's
it's
what
objectively very incorrect.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next thing.
All right. The Trump administration yesterday stopped scheduling any new interviews for international students who want to attend college or university here in the United States, as the U.S. State Department under Trump expands to screen their social media accounts. That, according to an internal cable seen by NBC. The directive was circulated to all diplomatic and consular posts around the world and signed by little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. The move is the Trump administration's latest strike on higher education and international students in particular, as it completely cut off the last vestige of financial support to Harvard. I guess, the benefit of that is the federal government has now fired all of their bullets at Harvard. They have no more. So at least when all the bad stuff has happened, it's all uphill from here. Anyway, and it is arresting, of course, visa holding students from overseas. That's normal. Come to the United States and study. By the way, in between your anthropology and your sociology class, you're under arrest and we're sending you to a gulag. The U.S. State Department said that it would issue further guidance to consulates and embassies in the coming days. Effective immediately in preparation for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting, consular sections should not add any additional student or exchange visitor visa appointment capacity, the cable says. It's unclear on whether the social media accounts will be screened as part of the expanded vetting, although it seems like that's the case. Public views and speech of international students have come under increased scrutiny. Thousands of students have seen their visas revoked in recent weeks, which says that they're trying to protect themselves from evil immigrants who intend to commit terrorist attacks because, that happens all the time, threaten national security or espouse hateful ideology. The future of foreign students at Harvard, in particular, is uncertain because Trump banned their enrollment starting in the next school year. So, this is a bad look. Okay, this is part of the reason that I would not be part of that Rasmussen poll saying that the country is moving in the right direction. I mean, making America great again does not making us look like fucking psychotic lunatics to the rest of the world, which is what we're doing here.
Your social media is coming under scrutiny. When you're a 18-year-old kid applying to Harvard, you're bound to say some stupid shit. You and I, God knows, Ted, you and I, obviously we came of age before the time of social media.
Thank the Lord for that. Yeah.
God, thank God, because only it's between me and the good Lord above. Only he knows the stupid bullshit that came out of my mouth when I was 18 years old, or back then on my notebook, right? That I'd write or scribble with a Sharpie on my peachy folder. But now it's like that's what the Trump administration is going to use. I mean, if we take the technology away, Ted, it's if we take it back to the 1990s when this, when I was going through this, imagine if the Trump administration they said, show me your peachy folder. Show me your high school locker. What stickers do you have in there? What bands are on your locker?
They would not have liked my bands at all.
Yeah.
I was a big punk rocker.
I had all kinds, I had stickers of like Wu-Tang Clan in there. I also had, the Cure stickers in there. They'd have been like, is she goth or is she like into this black hip hop stuff?
Either
Like,
way,
what is this?
obviously an act of evil.
Well,
And here's the thing too.
but that's the
Okay, so
equivalent.
first of all, so what's the total number of international students who've ever threatened American national security in the United States in, like, say, the last 30 years? Oh, I don't know.
Especially Harvard nerds.
0. And then also, what is the number of? I mean, it also, like, if you are truly like an agent and you're planning to, from early on, you've been recruited by your ISIS or something to come to the United States and raise hell. You probably aren't going to be posting like ISIS rules, like jihad. You're going to be like, look at the pretty sunrise. Oh, here's the meal I ate. Oh,
right.
I love bacon. So
Robbie
good.
Robbie wants to put in his 2 cents. We'll pop him up for a second.
I have a feeling I know where this might go, but I might be wrong. Go ahead.
It's not about American national security with these social media posts. They're looking for anti-Israel posts. Let's call it what it is. I mean, this has nothing to do with American national security. This has to do with having the thought crime and posting it online saying that you oppose Israeli genocide funded by the American government. That's what this is about. This isn't about, going to go join your local Klans member if you're a Chinese immigrant from Taiwan. All right. That's not what this is.
Agreed.
That's a good point.
That's what this is. Well, that's the whole issue.
Remember,
it's a total thought crime thing.
They did say that Israel, the protection of Israel is in America's national interest. That's what they say.
Well,
that's clearly not true, by the way.
Well, if you're a MAGA supporter like I am, that's complete BS. Israel's interests are actually harmful to American interests.
Right.
So, but if you say that, you're an anti-Semite.
To American interests.
Well, I mean, you only have. I mean, look, part of the reason for the 9/11 attacks was U.S. support for Israel.
Right.
So that didn't really, 9/11. I know there are probably some people who were a fan. I wasn't a fan. And I didn't think it really helped us out a lot. That was partly because of our support for Israel.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the whole thought crime stuff is bad. That's just ridiculous. On the flip side, though, I'm thrilled that they cut off these international students. Never let them in. Let's actually educate our people that are born here who are Americans. I think that's a better look. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
We have to enter non-compete contracts now for college.
No, isn't something like 30% of Harvard's student body foreign students?
27%, which
like that,
actually it really shocked me. I mean,
that's insane.
It is kind of insane. I mean, it's like
it is very high.
I have to say, like, if you what would you guys have guessed if someone asked me what percentage of international students are at Harvard or any Ivy League school?
I would have guessed like 1 out of 8.
I would say 3%, maybe.
Yeah, I would figure somewhere between. I would figure around 10%. I mean, not almost 30.
Yeah, no, that was
even
shocking.
10 seems high to me. I mean, I think that 10 would be too high.
Oh, I completely agree.
I was shocked.
But I was factoring in anchor babies who just kind of get slotted in. I mean, just people just coming over, just going there. Yeah, I think you're right. About
anchor babies aren't considered international students. International students live overseas. They get a visa, and they promise. And this is Team Robbie here, by the way.
Yeah.
They apply to come to the United States. I will come to the United States. I will study for 4 years. Thank you very much. I will work hard, and I will go back home to my home country. And then, well, I mean, some do, but many don't. Many then they get a job offer, and then they can use that job offer to parlay that into a work visa.
And it's a brain drain.
Take a job away from it's a brain drain from their home country, and it's a job that doesn't go to an American. Again, unlike you, Robbie, I have no problem with that as long as there's zero unemployed Americans. When there's 0.00% U.S. unemployment rate and everyone who wants a job has the job of their choice, then we can start bringing in foreigners.
I'm about to break your brain. I agree with you.
Hurry.
If we
kick Robbie off now.
To hell you say. No, if Americans are gainfully employed and having a living wage, open the borders, everybody in, don't care. There's plenty. We have a surplus. We don't have a surplus.
Look, I can get on board with this. With this last thing we'll say about this, and then we got to get Robbie out. We got one more story. Donald Trump saying that he will he's considering taking the Harvard money, the money that he's taken away, and giving it to trade schools, which I actually think
I don't have any problem with that at all.
That's a good idea.
By the way, that is not a bad idea, probably. However, I will say that Harvard has First Amendment rights, and they have the right. They can sue for defamation. And when this tweet that you're showing, or truth, I guess it's a truth. Calls it a very anti-Semitic Harvard. If you call me very anti-Semitic in a public post, I will sue the shit out of you.
Biggest anti-Semite, biggest ever, biggest.
Yeah, no, I mean, because anti-Semitism is absolutely the worst. And like, so it's like, so calling them like anti-Semitic, very anti-Semitic.
As the whole school,
I would be like, I mean, this is where Harvard, they have lawyers, they have money.
Right.
They graduate a bunch of lawyers.
Lawyers, I heard.
Good lawyers. They should go after the administration. They shouldn't take this lying down. Like, just let it go.
Or this truth alone is yeah, you're right. Is libelous, I would say. I think there's something there.
It's totally libelous.
But to Donald Trump's credit, if he does take this money away and applies it towards those trade schools, I'm kind of down with that, because seriously, we're low on the next generation of plumbers, of roofers, of HVAC people. We're low on people
jobs.
Like that.
These are jobs that cannot be exported overseas.
Correct. We're really low on these skilled labor jobs, because everybody thinks they're, either going to grow up to be some kind of social media influencer or a rap star, or, I don't know, like a sex tape star or something. So I think it's great if he does do that. Okay, more power to him. Okay, one more fun last story.
Okay, last story. News broke of DC's third most expensive home sale in the history of the nation's capital. The buyer turns out not to be a former president or an old money heir, but none other than Meta's own Mark Zuckerberg. It's highly surprising for one of the world's richest men to grow his real estate portfolio by buying this house, which he's paying $23 million. Of course, he's worth $185 billion, so he can afford it. Zuckerberg previously has purchased a doomsday bunker in Hawaii and a Lake Tahoe compound. Don't forget also, Manila, you're probably aware of this, in San Francisco, he purchased a very controversial home in the Mission District, where he also bought the neighboring properties so that like nobody could look over the fence and see he and his wife's beautiful statue of his wife.
God,
and where they no doubt make love under the moonlight, under the shadow of the statue looming over them. It's kind of like a threesome, but not. Anyway,
it's two Priscillas.
But the Priscillae, one Priscilla,
Priscillae,
one Manila, two Manila. But the properties also reflect the ideological and aesthetic shifts. Over the years, he's evolved from criticizing Trump to being pro-MAGA. Of course, he'll like I said, he's one of those guys like, if the communist revolution came tomorrow, he'd be like his Mao cap, Lenin jacket. He's abandoned his hoodie and gray T-shirt. He now wears a shearling jacket and a gold chain. Oh, brother.
A gold chain!
Yeah. Oh, brother. Following the assassination attempt against Trump, Zuckerberg called the soon-to-be president's reaction badass and went to hang out in Mar-a-Lago. Okay, it was badass. That's fair. Anyway, Zuck's purchase of the D.C. mansion, which, by the way, I don't know where it is. You might be aware of what neighborhood this is in.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I forgot it said what neighborhood.
Yeah, you should look that up while I finish this story. But anyway, comes as he lobbies the president to settle an antitrust suit against Meta. On Monday, Zuck took the witness stand to defend his company's acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp. Yeah, no monopoly power there at all. Michael Rankin, principal and managing partner of TTR Sotheby's in D.C., repped Zuck in the sale. Rankin did not mention the specifics, but said that current activity in the luxury housing market in D.C. is on par with previous election cycles. The patterns are consistent. The players are different this time. They all need nice houses to live in. For people who are not aware of all this, but obviously it makes perfect sense. Whenever there's an election, a lot of people leave DC if their party is no longer in power because they're now out of work.
Right.
And a lot of new people whose party is now in power come in. So there's churn every 2 to 4 years, or every 4 to 8 years, or whatever. But there's churn. And so then things come up for sale. And yeah, did you find out where this house is?
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I
Okay,
seem to
never mind.
recall it was right around just outside of Georgetown. I want to say it's near the National Cathedral.
Oh,
I
okay.
forget the name of the neighborhood. So, but of course, because that's where you get big plots of land. Like this
It's
is
very
in the
leafy
direction.
there too, right?
Very
He likes
leafy.
his privacy.
Yeah, you're headed towards like the Chevy Chase area of Maryland, like by that border. So that and what a moppy looking dog he has. But this is we're looking at Meta's like video, like they put out this video of a day in the life of Mark Zuckerberg. So this is what we're looking at in one of his homes. But I suspect there's,
It's always
some
weird, like these rich
stuff
people.
happening.
Notice how few things he has on his cabinet.
Oh, wait, do you see his t-shirts? Look, let me just go back. He has like all the same gray t-shirts. This is look at this. Super weird.
No, actually, though, there's a lot of people who, you may have noticed, I tend to wear a lot of the same clothes too. For us incredibly wealthy, powerful men, we don't like to spend a lot of time thinking about what we're going to wear. So, like Obama has, he has the same exact off the rack suit, like 15 of them, because he's just like, this one fits great. I'll get a bunch of them. Fine. When they're at the launder, launder 10 at a time.
Nothing. I get it. It's fine.
It's comfortable. It's like something he doesn't have to think about, right?
Yeah, but then you look like you're wearing the same shirt and jeans every single day.
Absolutely. And you're a man and you can get away with that. Who cares? I mean,
I know. No one cares about
I wear the same shoes every fucking day. I wear the same. I wear the same exact. I wear black skinny jeans every day. I wear the same exact merino wool t-shirts.
Well, I mean, Steve Jobs famously did that too. So I think I read somewhere that they do that because it preserves brain power, so you don't have to expend it on.
Yeah, that's true. It's also just like shit. It's a time thing. It's something you don't have to think about. It's also branding. I mean, honestly, it's like
that's his look.
There be Zuck. I mean,
that's Mark Zuckerberg, right? So this is
he does look like a space alien. I gotta say,
he absolutely does. And I think that whole Priscilla statue that's like that weird, scary green color. I think that's how he envisions her in his native skin.
Do you think she's Kubrick?
I think he's trying to turn her into whatever his natural state of being is.
From his, you mean like in his true form,
his
back
on
his home world.
In his home planet, he's that color, and the women are that color. So he's like, this is how I envision.
Even they might have completely different gender.
Right, female, situation. Whatever. The female could be non-binary over there. I don't know. But either way, this little alien dude is wealthy AF and has the third most expensive house in the district.
It's so funny about
and that's a mantle.
They have so many that's the house?
That's the house. This is the actual house.
It's ugly as shit from the outside. Inside, it's very generic.
It's just very California modern on the inside. The outside is ugly.
Oh, it's disgusting.
It looks
very
ugly.
Honestly, it looks like a shitty church from the late 70s in Ohio.
Right, like a cheap makeshift church. It's very ugly on the outside. DC is really trying to modernize their architecture of the houses that are for sale in this area and move away from these colonial, like there's the house again. They are trying to emulate California style houses.
Suburban. It's gross.
They're really trying to emulate California style housing. I mean, look at the interior, right? Like this is very Californian. The outside, they're trying to replicate that, and I don't think they've successfully done it yet in these rich neighborhoods. It looks kind of out of place because obviously it's different climate here. You can't have the same type of, less sloped roofing because there's snow. Like there's a reason those roofs are.
Wait. I'm calling bullshit on this.
And
oh my
rain.
God. Sometimes it snows an entire inch. Okay. This isn't St. Petersburg. Okay.
There's the house.
It's like, it's like they don't need A-frames like that. Give me a break.
Well,
the
not
building
this
that I'm
much.
in right now has a flat roof, and I'm 100, 200 miles north of you, right? I mean, like,
my point is, in California,
you do not need pointy roofs like that. That's a style thing.
My point is,
it doesn't.
In California, we tend to have less slopey roofs, which lend itself to the modern housing style that's very popular in California, because the weather is very, gentle and temperate, other than being very hot. But we don't have stuff falling on us. Oh, we just lost Dr. Reese. He popped in and then he popped out. I'm sure he'll be back. But that's the house. In the middle, see the A-frame in the middle? There's like a glass hallway on either side of it. I don't know if you can tell.
I can see. Yeah, that's very strange.
I don't know, for a guy that likes privacy, I don't know why Zuck would buy a house that has transparent hallways as you walk between
he and Priscilla are secretly exhibitionists.
Oh my God. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to just, nope. Okay. One last bit of history, and then we got to go to Dr. Reese.
Parenthetically, if he is America's own Emmanuel Macron, and that she like,
no.
I think Priscilla abuses Zuck, and like.
Well, that's why he's taking karate classes.
To protect himself from her. Do we have the good doctor back?
The good Dr. Reese is back with us. He's in the background. We'll pull him in after this last bit of one thing of history, Ted.
Okay.
No commentary, just this day in history.
All right. On May 20th, 1830, that's...
May 28th.
May 28th,
today.
That's the same day as today, but in 1830, Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act. The law sought to relocate Native Americans west of the Mississippi River in order to open up land for U.S. settlers, colonists seeking space to cultivate cotton. This led to the forced removal of thousands of people and the infamous Trail of Tears, something that, of course, the Israelis are trying to do right now, even as we speak, in Gaza.
Huh.
Except they're hoping to kill a lot more than thousands of people.
Yeah. Interesting how history always repeats itself, Ted. All right. We'll leave that there. We'll switch gears and head on to our main topic.
Local climate activists are on edge after people pretending or claiming to be FBI agents visited at least 6 of them at their homes in the Boston area on the same day in March, a couple of months ago. A few weeks later, motivations behind the visits are still mysterious. None of the activists has any history of violent protest or felony criminal charges in federal or state court. And sometimes FBI agents interview people for any number of reasons, but legal experts say it's rare for the agency to actually seek out nonviolent climate activists for questioning. Whatever the reason, some lawyers say that the visits could have a chilling effect on free speech. Duh, that's the point. Nathan Phillips was sitting in his office at Boston University, aka BU, on a Thursday afternoon when he got a text from his wife, called her up right away. She said that 2 guys had just come to their house in Newton and asked to see him. One of them flashed a badge and said he was FBI. I spy for the FBI. Phillips wondered if the visit might be related to his activism. He'd been advocating for the release of Mahmoud Khalil, who led the pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University. He is currently cooling his heels in a ICE gulag in Louisiana. And Tufts student Rumoisa Ozturk, who had the temerity to write an op-ed criticizing her university's lack of response to the student demands related to the war in Gaza. She also was gulagged, but has been temporarily de-gulagged. Hopefully that'll be permanent. Phillips has also been an outspoken environmental activist for about a decade, protesting pipelines, a new compressor station in Weymouth, and the expansion of Hanscom Airfield. Most recently, he helped organize peaceful demonstrations outside Tesla showrooms in the Boston area in opposition to Elon Musk. Phillips wasn't the only guy who got a visit. WBUR Boston learned of at least 5 other climate activists who were visited the same day around the same time by the same people claiming to be FBI. They have no obvious connection to one another whatsoever, except that they had all attended nonviolent climate protests. That, according to Kyla Clay. Kyla is a public defender lawyer who's repping 4 of the people who got visits. Some, but not all, have been at Tesla protests. Some, but not all, protested the expansion of Hanscom Field. Some, but not all, have arrest records in Massachusetts for misdemeanors related to civil disobedience, which is kind of a standard thing that you get when you protest regularly. Nobody has a federal arrest record, so why is the FBI involved? A few are members of a group called Extinction Rebellion. The Boston division of the FBI declined to confirm or deny the agency's involvement whatsoever in those visits. To me, that's a confirmation tacitly, because if they hadn't been, they would have said they hadn't been.
Yeah. So joining us, if you want to finish that, Tim.
I will be happy to do that. Yes, sorry, I was just so excited. Dr. Reese Halter is an award-winning broadcaster, distinguished conservation biologist, and author. And his latest book is called Generation Z Emergency. Follow Dr. Reese on Twitter and at Relentless Reese, Reese, and on his website, drreese.com, drreese.com. Dr. Reese, as always appreciate you. Thank you for joining us here on the TMI Show.
Dr. Yeah, Reese, thanks.
Audio only today.
Oh, audio only? What do I need?
No, that's okay.
What do I?
There
I
you
don't
are.
know.
There you are.
Oh, there I am.
You know.
There
you are.
Look, I'm by my nice barn. We built this. I built this not so long ago. A couple of things. Number one, just back 4 ticks. Albert Einstein wore black suits. That's all he had. Black suits and a black tie. He was maybe one of the first. Number 2, the Indian Act was horrific for every number of reasons, but mostly, sadly, for me, it's the buffalo. We in our infinite horridness, we eviscerated, I don't know, 50, 60 million buffalo. Now, you may say, oh, well, big buffaloes, who gives a rat's X, Y, or Z? I know we can cuss on your station, but I'm just trying to be polite. But that's not the point. The buffalo were wonderful pooers, and that poo on the Great Plains grasslands, true, made it one of the greatest assemblages for life on the planet. And as we know, 150 or 160, 70 years later, we're still growing crops on the backs of the bison poo on those soils. So on to this other lunacy. This is a projected fear of global heating, suppression of fear onto the fear of the global heating activists. Now, just a moment. Global heating. Why am I saying global heating? I am so wretchedly tired, I will throw in the word fucking tired of climate change. It means nothing. And words matter. Words matter. We've slipped that far. We have a very, very hugely serious problem. Our planet is overheating. For those who don't seem to understand, it's really elemental. Earth is a closed system. Thank God we have an atmosphere, or whoever your deity is, animal or whomever. We have a closed system. Thanks to the plants, we have an atmosphere. By the way, the atmosphere filters out UV, the shortwave radiation from our red star that would make life not possible. We have that. We have ozone. We have the filter. Therefore, we have a closed system and we have heat. When we burn anything, matter is neither created nor destroyed. It's transformed. We got heat, it's in the atmosphere, but it's not just in the atmosphere, it's in the oceans. The oceans are freaking simmering hot. And the problem is, with all these geoengineerists who say, oh, we'll just cool the atmosphere. Is that so? The oceans occupy 99% of the livable space, occupiable space on our planet, and they've got a lot of heat. The only way we're going to deal with all of this is to back down on the combustion, and some little refugees will survive in the coming decades, but not civilization. Ted, we've got lunacy happening here. We've got fascism. We've got fascism coming out our noses, and we've got people who are fraught with fear because of Fox and one ONE. Did you see that ONE or whatever that crap
OAN,
thing
yeah.
is?
OAN.
OAN has replaced Voice America.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
God.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Oh my.
Doctor, before you go on, because you've left us some stuff to talk about. In reverse order, I just wanted to point out, just echoing what you just said. I'm totally pessimistic about our chances. Just this morning, I was listening to, the latest climate change report. We'll get into that phrase, where basically there's no chance whatsoever of dropping below 1.5 degrees Celsius over the pre-industrialization benchmark, which is where we need to be desperately. And in fact, we have not made any progress whatsoever as a species to reducing the emission of greenhouse gases at all.
No.
And at all. We're not even lame. We don't even get a D-, right? We get an FFF. But also, and I just wanted to sort of say, I think, what we were calling it global warming. And then I think scientists were, then right-wingers were saying, but wait, there's some places where it's actually getting colder and there's more snow. So therefore, global warming isn't happening. So then as a response to that, the environmental community said, okay, we'll call it climate change. My personal favorite term is climate weirding.
Yes.
Because there's more chemistry, more stuff in the atmosphere. And but I mean, I hear you. I do think it's basically like if you increase the total net average temperature of the Earth, of course, a few places are actually going to get colder because it's so complicated. And there's, for example, you will melt ice caps, and that cold water, that ice will slide into the ocean and cool those oceans, and that will create a cold place. But overall, it's getting hotter all the time. I don't know. It's frustrating. We need a term that works. Yeah. And the thing is, the right wingers are always coming up with some kind of counter. I don't know why they don't
better branding.
What planet they think they're going to be living on. I don't understand that at all.
But here's the thing. So Dr. Reese, wait, we lost him. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
There you are. So Dr. Reese, here's the thing. So you brought this to my attention, and I find it really suspect that this happened a month ago, and no media outlet except the local NPR was reporting on it. What we're looking at on the screen is the local CBS Boston when the protest actually happened, which was fully permitted. They didn't break any laws. They didn't bust windows. It wasn't a violent protest of any sort. My question to you is, why do you think this new FBI that's headed now by this guy, Kash Patel, why do you think they're just appearing at the houses of these protesters? I find it to be that it's meant to serve as a chilling effect of free speech, so that these people get rattled and they stop doing these protests.
Well, first of all, a prequel question too: is there a chance that this is not the FBI and that it's someone else?
Could be. We don't. That is conjecture. We don't know, but it is a chilling effect, and it signifies that we're in a fossil fueled world, and the fossil fueled fuelers run the show, and we know. I wrote a piece 6 months ago. We know that Trump said the world is worth $1 billion because he said, you Oilers come down to Mar-a-Lago and give me $1 billion, and the rest is history. I don't know how much the Oilers gave him. Who knows? but it's God, it's depressing. We're not even going down with a whimper.
You would think someone
It's
as
it.
rich as Trump is actually now for real, that he wouldn't be bribable. You know, if I had billions of dollars, I
Well,
wouldn't be bribable.
Oh, no, I would say this. This actually, this is my working hypothesis. Hypothesis. The reason the sovereign wealth fund thing has come up is some bean counter said to him, in 7 years we can get $1 trillion from these asinine tariffs, taxes on the people. This is a tax on the people. And then the notion came up. See, he was jonesing the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund, which is 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 trillion dollars right now. And that's been over 40 years. So it's not a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. They want it in 7 years. And the reason is they want 10% of that in Bitcoin. Dial back, who's got Bitcoin? The Trump family. And the legitimizing of this illicit, untrackable for the most part currency is why they said, oh, you can join our 100 billion club. And they will. Trump won't live long enough, I don't think, due to his age, not saying anything else, to see it, but his family will very likely enter into the 100 billion club. And this whole thing is nothing more nor less than the parable, whenever it so was written, of the golden calf. Our entire society is jonesing the gold. And no matter what happens, no matter the consequences, we have to all be as affluent as Midas. And the consequences are that Mother Earth is being flogged and flailed and pumped and burned and droughted to death. And the scientists in the room, for the most part, have been denigrated into nothing burgers. This happened, Ted, 30 years ago with some bum named Bjorn Lomborg. He wasn't the first, but there around the turn of 2000, it all of a sudden came to be that one contrarian out of 100 controlled the microphone. And when that happened, the one contrarian scientist was given the microphone. That's really been the end of common sense. Listen to the expert scientists. Now, there are mistakes. Not every scientist is going to have an opinion that is safe for others. But in general, science is very cautious. And when you have the kinds of thousands and we have hundreds of thousands of global heating research papers, peer reviewed, that are all saying the same thing. And when that's quieted, that's the end. That is the end. And I would commend the Paul. I'm thinking of his life story. Paul Ehrlich wrote a book called Life, his story of his life. He's 92. He was a population bomb guy in the 1960s, late 60s. Yes, he missed. He said the world wouldn't exceed 5 billion or around 5 billion. There would be trouble. He's missed it. It's probably will get to 9 billion, and that'll be that. But it's a good book, and he and thousands of others are aware of the pending collapse. Paul has predicted in the coming decade or decades a collapse, and he's not wrong. And we're just sitting here watching it in real time. But for heaven's sakes, don't be quiet. Do not be
Dr.
quiet.
Reese, but it's hard for regular people who would otherwise be keen to take part in what we can see on, I've shown it on screen from CBS Boston here, was obviously a peaceful protest because
Yeah.
people don't mind taking part in things like that, right? Because it's got a permit, it's
Right.
peaceful, it's nonviolent. A lot of people, including families, show up to things like that and they'd be keen to take part in that. But now that the FBI is randomly
Yeah.
showing up at these people's houses who did nothing wrong other than to voice their protected First Amendment speech, to say what they think about what's happening, the rollbacks for climate protection that Trump has already done in the first 100 days. These people, it's going to scare off who would otherwise show up,
Yes.
these friends and families. It's going to scare people off. And I think that's an awful precedent to set, even if they're, the FBI is like, I don't know, even if they don't answer, number one, but if they show up and they're like, we're just here to ask a couple of questions. Were you at the Tesla protest? I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence that Elon Musk is this special advisor. Tesla stock tanks by like 50%. And then the FBI, we lost, is Dr. Reese there? Stream audio only. So I don't think it's a coincidence that these people are getting asked questions like, were you at the Tesla protest?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's this is what fascism is, and it's even more Manila and Ted that less and less people read. So the reason we have history as a subject is because it's vitally important to learn what happened in the past. And I fear, as others do, that with the complete and utter takeover by the screen, I was in an airport the other day and my plane was late for 6 hours. I saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all glued to their screens. I saw 3 people reading a book, an actual book. And so, yeah, and the average person doesn't know how to cross-reference. The average person doesn't know what to do. And for good reason, they go quiet or go dark. And this is what these awful, awful, awful humans who should never be in public service. You know, the
Positions of
politicians,
power.
yes, they're public servants. And in fact, what we're seeing in real time is a repeat of the end of the Roman Empire when corruption was so in your face. And who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Just get in
Fair
while the
point.
getting's good. It's
Yeah.
but I commend to the listeners or the viewers Scott Pelley's address on the weekend or the weekend before to the Wake University and his railing against the administration and peace and our well-being. We have to stand up any way we can. At least if you don't want to protest, somehow, some way support groups and individuals that are speaking out in any way, in volunteer or do anything or give them a buck or do
I would
anything.
say, Dr. Reese, it won't be long. If you do that, it won't be long before they start digging into the funding and who donated what, and then you get a knock at the door from the FBI too.
And they'll
Yeah.
and they'll start declaring these groups to be terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
They're declaring everybody they don't like to be a terrorist organization.
Yeah,
And then
radical left.
Then the law allows them to.
Yeah, they're going to call everybody the New Weather Underground. I feel like that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Manila and I were speaking of this the other day. The fact that the LA fires have not received federal funding, that the emergency funding, the fact that Huckabee's, Arkansas, had unbelievable tornadoes and wanted or requested emergency funding, and that wasn't provided. I think you can strong arm people for quite some time, but there's coming a time when the people are going to have had enough, a gutful. And these imbeciles don't realize it. Now, you may say, well, there's a bunch of robots and GoBots that will be deployed. We've seen movies and sci-fi, and maybe that's what it comes to. There's a terrible sense, Ted, from my interpretation of religious right-wing nutters. They are nutters, and they feel that it's God's will that they are super affluent, and the rest are poor bastards who deserve to toil and deserve to die. And there's a terrible sense with this Project 25, Heartland Institute, and others that there's a day of reckoning where all the poor, all the problems on earth are due to the people who haven't touched the rock and golden calf, etc. And it'll all be better. All the poor, the blight of the earth will die, and those entitled, God's children they call themselves, will revel in excellence and so on and so forth. They're so wretchedly deluded and mean and mean. This stuff that's going down is not only un-American, it's just bloody mean. Where does this come from? Being mean. Yeah, my neighbor, I'll get him. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's true.
you know what I say? Take a bag of apples from your food-bearing tree in your yard, give it to your neighbor. Unconditional. Yeah, I got some extra apples. Would you like some? How about that? How about the community? How about leaving your community better and being anonymous? Who cares? Who really cares? Because it's the right thing. We
Well,
need to grow up.
we're not in that world anymore, unfortunately, Dr. Reese, that people want, their recognition, and they want their 15 minutes of fame and being neighbor. Most people don't. There's a poll that I saw not long ago from one of these real estate companies that showed most people don't know their neighbors anymore. So they don't
Well, a
actually know
great way
they
to
wave
break
at
the
them.
ice is take them food. Take them. We all eat. And just because everybody else is going one way, dare to go the other. Dare to do the right thing because it
Technology has
makes you
changed a
feel
lot,
good.
though. I mean, so doctor, I mean, like for example, I had a friend of a friend. I knew her just barely in college. She wrote her thesis, her graduate thesis, on
Mhm.
on the decline of the American porch. And
Oh,
basically, if you look at houses, new houses haven't been built with porches really starting in the 1950s and 60s.
yeah,
Well, what happened then? TV. People
yeah,
started hanging out inside. When I was in
yeah.
high school, my high school girlfriend lived in a canal town in northwestern Ohio on the
Uh-huh.
old Miami Erie Canal.
Uh-huh.
Population 50.
Wow.
Florida, Ohio, right? They didn't even, the town was so small, the streets didn't have names, and there were no house numbers. Like
Nice.
you literally just mailed like John Smith, Florida, Ohio. The letter would get to you because everyone knew who you were. They had a party line phone. So
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
so
The phone would have different pips,
so literally, it would be
different
like you pick
rings.
up the phone and be like, "Oh, Dr. Reese is on the phone. I'll pick up later, or maybe I'll listen to his call." Anyway, the point is that like the entertainment in the town on a summer night was that you just went for a little walk, and then like someone would say, "Hey, come over here," and they'd be on their swinging chair on the
Oh,
porch,
the
and they'd
porch
be
swing.
come over here, set a spell, have a pop or a beer, and you go and talk, and then it's like you'd be done after a bit, and then you'd be like go for a little walk, and then someone else would invite you over. That was your evening's entertainment. It was
Communal.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Communal.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a bygone era. Dr. Reese, thank you so much. We'll leave it there. I'm putting your website back on the screen so folks can go check out your work and check out your books if they would be so inclined. Right there, the Incomparable Honeybee was my start to learning about
Nice.
uh, Nick. what is it? Nicotinoid?
Neonicotinoids, nerve poison. Say yikes.
Yeah. That was my introduction to
By
all
the
of
way,
this.
I didn't know that honeybees are not a native species to the New World. I just learned that in the
Africa.
book 14. They came with the Columbian conquest.
Yeah, Africa, and then they migrated. The one we depend on, mellifluous, or melliflua, excuse me, is an Italian honeybee,
Huh.
and that Italian honeybee now, in the order of, I think the last calculation I did was 1.6 or 7 trillion of them at any one moment in time, give us a giant amount of food. And now what we're seeing, of course, is with them dying, how the native pollinators, the hoverflies and native bees and moths and butterflies and others, some mammals, ants and others, are trying to lift and pollinate. It's super tricky. I will say we just lost at least 50 billion bees in America. We've come off the worst year-over-year loss in the history of our nation. So it's really tricky. It's really, really, really tricky, and it's a call to action, and it's sort of like wake up, right? Wake up.
You all can learn about that from Dr. Reese right here. See this little book, The Incomparable Honeybee. It's actually a small little book, good, fast little read.
Yes.
And you can go to drreese.com, drreese.com, and he has a lot of stuff that you can learn about there if you like learning from a science perspective that's written in a manner for non-science people like myself. It's a good resource to go to. So that's what his website right here looks like. So Dr. Reese, thank you so much.
Thanks a bunch for
Always
having me.
love
Thanks,
having
Doctor.
you.
Always a pleasure.
Keep well, guys, and keep broadcasting, please.
For sure.
Will do. Thank you, Dr. Reese.
Thanks, Doctor. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
He's
looking
always
good, by the way. He looks
great.
He's like aging in reverse. He's like Benjamin Button. Like what's
going
on?
He just hasn't aged. That's the thing. He's just kind of, but he's
looking
vegan.
better.
He's vegan. He lives like out, like in NorCal where the air is fresh, and he
except when there's
wildfires.
But okay.
Well, he walks the walk is my point, and
he's living in a nice place. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice clean environment.
And obviously, every time we see him, he's always walking. Always walking.
He's always doing something.
We should start doing the show while we're walking, Manila. We should be out there. You should be there on StreamYard. Like I'll be like,
start running away from the pit bull down the street.
I'll be biking through Central Park. Yeah, if the FBI agents chase us down the street.
This is my right. I can walk around.
By the way, I just want to point out another thing about the FBI that's particularly ominous, right? If cops come to talk to you and fuck with you, you don't have to say a word. You can respectfully decline to talk to them. You can just say, I don't speak to cops. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. FBI agents can't. You can't do that with the FBI. They're federal investigators. You have to answer their questions. If you don't, you can be arrested for impeding a federal investigation. So there's special laws. It's different. Yeah. So
I thought it was applicable the same way. As
it ought to be.
You can be like, nope, I don't talk to.
It ought to be, but the Supreme Court has ruled. So it's kind of like when they show up, you kind of have to tell them the truth. It sucks. Let's
okay, Robbie says we got an ad. We have an ad before we go.
All right, I'll read that, and then we'll be on our way.
I think it's posted.
Here we go. The sponsorship is from Rumble. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they felt pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They are attacked by brand advertisers. I hope they're not attacked by like the French First Lady, because that could be even worse. Who work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble's offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us here on Rumble. Gotta say, Manila, you and I are about to do a Rumble Premium episode in about. We'll be live for that, or will we be recording?
No. It's a recording. It's a recording because
we'll drop. When are we dropping that? Later today or what?
I think so. I need to look at the calendar to make sure we hit all the right marks. But yeah, producer Robbie said thumbs up. Yeah, later today.
All right, we'll be dropping that. Do you want to tease it? We should tease it.
I will tease it actually.
Tease it like you're a French president teasing your teacher wife or something. I don't know.
Your elderly teacher. Slap them with it is what you're saying.
By the way, I don't like how people were cracking jokes about that. I was watching The Five on Fox yesterday, and they were just like cracking up. And I get it. But the truth is, it's domestic violence.
I think it's
objectively
evidence of grooming and lifelong abuse.
Well, it's certainly an act of abuse. I don't know if there's been grooming. But I know I know abuse when I see it. That's abuse.
15 years old. Come on, let's remember.
Yeah,
but anyway, so the Rumble Premium episode today that will drop later today is, I'm calling it Summer Lovin' 2025. Ted and I are going to talk to one of these guys that's a prominent dating coach here in Washington, D.C. Because God knows I was out in the dating world once upon a time here in DC, and God, can these guys use a coach? But if not only for,
I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to have a little bit of self-deprecation, and say that you could have used a coach.
No, LA. Maybe it's just I'm from LA, and we're different. We're like more chill, but I don't know. Dating out here was not. Yeah, it was a different experience than for someone coming from the West Coast. But we'll talk to a dating coach about, what the dating scene is like in 2025. I'm curious to ask him about how all of these apps have changed the way people think and behave towards one another, just like you painted, Ted. Like, people don't go out on porch. There are no porches anymore. People don't interact anymore. So dating is isn't on the decline.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I, obviously, I came of age in the 80s, and
and me in the 90s,
and we had clubs and concerts.
We did too.
And bars. No, but we
did too.
Yeah, but I mean, really? I mean, could you still pick people up at a bar?
Ted, there were no apps. I was old enough to drink before social media was a thing.
It felt like a lot of that stuff, like the hookup culture, vanished with the AIDS crisis, kind of, for a time anyway.
Well, I would say the hookup culture became more prominent and easy after these apps, and the actual connections have dissipated because of these apps. And I feel like we've created a society of disposable people, and there's a whole set
I agree with that.
A whole set of different problems for single, especially young people that don't have a frame of reference of before the internet era, right? Like, they have no frame of reference. I do. I remember.
Maybe they don't need it, because who cares? They're not going to live in that era anyway. Just like we're not going to go back to the porch thing.
Right. So we'll ask this dating coach. I mean, I'm also curious to know about like these male, this ultra machismo type. Maybe he can answer some of those things. So if you're curious to see what the dating scene looks like, your prospects, if you're a single person, and we're just going to talk about love and what that means to this generation.
Dating tips
now.
Ted Manila's dating tips. Tune in.
And some dating. And look, I put up our email, TMI Show question@yahoo.com. We're taping with this special guest in about 1 hour. So if you're watching right now and you have dating questions for me or Ted or the dating coach
or Clovis,
or even Clovis. He'll meow you an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to get it to us before 12 noon Eastern time.
Yeah, you have about 45 minutes.
Yeah. So mail us a question, inbox us, TMI Show question at yahoo.com. And if we see it in time, we will.
And it's a good question. We reserve the right to think your question blows, and then in which case we will ignore it. But if you give us a thoughtful, intelligent question, we will ask it.
Yeah. So there's your opportunity to be part of the show and get a direct answer from either myself or Ted or the dating coach. And I've never spoken to a dating coach before, Ted. So I'm kind of.
I have.
You have.
Yeah, okay. I did an article years ago. I used to be a staff writer at POV magazine, and I was assigned to do this. And it was basically a company called First Impressions here in New York, which I think might still exist. Long story short, you went out on a fake date with like one of their employees, and then like you basically acted like you were, and then they would review you.
It's role playing.
Yeah, it's role play, and then they would say like. They would give you all a report card for the things that you did right and the things that require improvement. And it was super interesting.
Huh. Well, we'll talk to the professional. We'll talk to the professional dating coach later this afternoon. So you guys got 45 minutes. Inbox us if you want any kind of dating or love advice, whatever questions answered. Hit us up before noon because we're not on air, but we're taping with him at 12:30. So we want to have everything lined up in a row, ready to go. So inbox us if you have questions. So that's it, guys. That's going to do it for Wednesday for this live show. Ted and I are back in front of our cameras in just a little bit. So we'll see you back here tomorrow, Thursday. Yay, it's pre-Friday. Thursday, pre-Friday. All right, guys. Have a great Wednesday.
Wednesday. See ya in an hour and 10 minutes. Some of you. Well, maybe not.
Adios, amigos.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon, Ted.
All right.
Adios, amigos. Thanks for being here. Bye.